Welcome one, welcome all to Pit Road Productions, the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series sponsored by WBM Racing, going to Imola for the third last round of the season. We are here in virtual Italy at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari. Very lovely track. Just over the river from the city of Imola for what's sure to be a 45-minute run of exciting GT3 racing. Live here on the Pit Road Productions YouTube channel. Welcome to all of you. My name is Reese Gardner. Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the commentary box and also handling production behind the scenes. Zippy, the championship is starting to come to its close, and I think we're at a track where that could be upset just a little bit. The curbs are brutal, and those chicanes can really take a beating.
Absolutely, Reese, and certainly it's actually on the Princess approved track list as well. I would have very much liked to have been behind the wheel on this one, and I consider myself very lucky to even be joining the session at this point, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of an insider joke. See Reese looking slightly guilty and smiling. Nothing Reese did, ladies and gentlemen, but let's just say we had a learning experience with the iRacing gods involving, you could say, a possible incentive scheme here. Fun chat. That's maybe for our other YouTube channel. As you can see, Reese almost, yeah, a little bit there. But Imola, fantastic track indeed. Definitely one of my favorites. And Reese, 100% agree with you about what you were saying about the curves. That last chicane in particular, that right left, certainly it can be very generous, but it can also be very, very brutal. Definitely very easy to unsettle the car. But I've got to admit, like, even that, the sausage curbs as well, it's surprising. Some of the cars can actually take them with a lot more force than you'd expect, but others, it's just absolute pandemonium. So it definitely is going to be interesting to see how it works out. The Mustang, from what I remember, not so great on the curbs of Porsche, though. Could this be the opportunity that Dylan Newhart has been looking for? I know he's keen for a championship fight, but speaking of which, let's leave the championship points away for the minute. Reese, let's have a look at the schedule.
Yes, of course. Well, we started off the season at the start of June at Daytona, Long Beach, Mugello, Laguna Seca, and Hockenheim. The first 5 rounds of the season. And then hopping on over to July, we went over to Spa and Silverstone, trip to Belgium and the UK, then right back across the channel to Italy, and we're going to be going up north to Norway for Rudskogen for round 9, and I'm going to be behind the wheel for that one, and Sebring rounding off the season. Very brutal way to end this championship on the concrete of Florida. But, yeah, I'll tell you what, a great variety of tracks this season. It's tested the mettle of all of the drivers that have taken part over the course of this season. We've had exciting racing pretty much every single round. There's always been something to talk about, and this is how things are in the championship at the moment. Dylan Newhart looking a bit distant there versus Parker Dime, 199 points separating them. It's going to be difficult for Newhart to make up that ground with only 3 rounds remaining in the series.
Absolutely. Certainly, I think at this point, he's just trying to secure second. Austin Dilt's very much the bad brothers, you could say. It's, I'm trying to think, what was it? Dean Portman and what was the other guy from the Mighty Ducks? Certainly, Vulcan, I can't remember his name. It's been years since I watched that movie, ladies and gentlemen, but indeed a classic. Certainly the Mighty Ducks, actually starring Emilio Estevez, who was actually Charlie Sheen's brother, in case you didn't know. A little bit of famous expertise for you, but some good battles going on nonetheless. You can see Morgan Smith and Calvin Gorey, actually 40 points between them, and if I'm not mistaken, is that Jacob Quayle tied with 1,280 points there, fighting for P5?
Yeah, it looks like it is. Quayle's had a pretty good last few rounds, and Kalman Giori not quite getting the results that he wanted from his qualifying performances. So there could be a change there for P5 in the championship coming out of this round. All depends on how they finish the race here, but Quayle is a few positions ahead of Giori in qualifying, so it's certainly going to be a tough start there for Kalman. Notice my name down there very low in the standings. Only round I've done of this series is Long Beach. I think I was scheduled to take a couple more, but ultimately it didn't quite work out that way. Regardless, it's the end of qualifying now. We're in overtime at the moment, waiting for the drivers to finish their last laps here. Looks like Luis Rios has just completed his final lap, and he's been unable to get off the last row of the grid with that one. So looks like we're just going to be waiting around a bit here as the session ticks down. Great qualifying performance from Austin Dilts. The championship leader Parker Dime getting second place, only 0.3 of a second behind. And basically, that's how things are at the moment. I think qualifying is going to be very important at Imola because despite its very heavy braking zones, it's actually quite difficult to pass around here. A lot of the corners around here, a lot of the braking zones, they go into those sort of kind of open chicanes. So you have to be very assertive if you want to make a move.
You absolutely do, Reese. But while we wait for that session to tick over, we're going to do a little bit of product placement, ladies and gentlemen. Very poorly modeled, but ladies and gentlemen, I am very proud to say, as long as I don't try and drop my keyboard, I am rocking the terrible camera work here. I'm not just trying to show you my excellent physique, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong, we'd need Reese for that. But Lima Racing, we are very, very proud to be associated with these guys. And I've got to say a huge thank you to Cedric O'Hine for sending that Lima Racing care package. And if you wanted to see them, they were at the Toronto Indy. Cedric O'Hine getting a good couple of podiums as well. Absolutely fantastic stuff. So certainly, if you're looking for a real-life radical team, ladies and gentlemen, check them out, and certainly Lima Racing official on the old Instagram. But let's take a quick look here at the grid.
Yes, Austin Dilts grabbing pole position with Parker Dime about 0.3 back on the front row. Dylan Newhard in third. Got Dustin Neerhoof for company on row 2. And that's another excellent, consistent performance from Dustin, who joined the series a few rounds in. Morgan Smith and Jacob Quayle are your third row, with Cayman Lackney and Malik Bass making his first start there on the fourth row, with Kalman Guri and Kyle Shelton rounding out your top 10. 2 more cars, Fozzie Fazillo and Luis Rios, to make it 12 cars for this third last round of the season. We have a 45-minute race ahead of us, Zippy. Fixed setup and a single pit stop required, with a little bit of a fuel cap on these cars. So if you can't make those passes into the corners, try to make the pass into the pits.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, you know which part of the show it is. It is time to check out Dylan Newhart's paint. And this week, my co-worker, he did spoil it for me. But if you're not sure who it is, ladies and gentlemen, it's fair to say it's a midget comedian. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Kevin Hart.
Yes. I can't. If he finishes on the podium, I am looking forward to hearing Dylan explain his reasoning for putting Mr. Hart on the car this time. We've seen Will Ferrell. We've seen
LeBron James.
Help me out here, Zippy. LeBron James.
Yeah. Minions. Yes. I think we saw Minions, didn't we?
Yep. Yes, I believe we did. Steve Harvey as well has made appearances on the car.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Well, we'll see how much pace.
Could have sworn we had Jack
Did we?
Black
Which one? Sorry.
Did we have Jack Black?
Yes,
once?
we did actually. We had Jack Black specifically in character as Minecraft Steve. Well, let's see how many tenths of a second. We'll see how many tenths of a second Kevin Hart gives Dylan Newhart here, because once again, he's the one on the attack versus the WBM Mustang duo on the front row of the field. And Parker was pretty dominant in the early stages of the season, but once he got that championship margin, he started backing off a bit, I think. And Austin Dilts has been really on form these last few rounds. A convincing pole position from the number 14 once again, as has been the case for the last few rounds running. So only down to a couple of corners now, and we'll be able to get this race started. It's a long start-finish stretch here at Imola, and I think if you're on point, if you manage to stay with the leader when they put the power down, you'll be guaranteed to move into turn 1.
Absolutely, and let's give a huge shout out as well to Morgan Smith, one of the lead sponsors here for well, he's the leader of WBM. Let's give them a huge shout out as well. You see that beautiful paint? Their merchandise matches it, ladies and gentlemen. 100%. I need to get myself one of these ordered once we've got a few more shows under the belt, but it looks like we're going to have a large presence for the WBM boys. Actually, having a very quick count, I believe it's about 5 or 6 of them in here tonight, as you can see the field stacking up, then getting ready to go. Reese, are you ready? Because baby, away we go. go. Mustang, Corvette, and a Porsche. That's the top 4. How are we going to see it as they go down towards turn 1?
Well, it's a great start from Austin Diltz as they come across the line. Newhart getting ahead of Nierhoff just as they get into the braking zone there. Single file on the way in. Some moves further back. Kalman Giori and Fozzie Fazillo side by side, and Fozzie gets the move done. It's been a terrible start for Kalman Giori. Remember, 5th place in the championship coming into this round and fighting hard with Jacob Quayle in the other Corvette C8 there. But Rios deciding not to take advantage there. They're already through Tamburello and Villeneuve, the 2 chicanes to start the lap. This is Tosa, the first hairpin of the lap, and really the only hairpin, I guess, around Imola. And then the run up the hill to this beautiful sweeping left-hand corner. And you've got to make sure to stay on the track through there. You'll get an off track if you hit that AstroTurf on the outside. Worth pointing out, actually, something I've noticed about Imola over the years is if the green beyond the... Oh, dear. Okay, I'll scratch that. Leave it for later. Kyle Shelton going for a spin there.
That's definitely not what he had in mind there, Reese. Let's take a quick look at the replay. I believe cold tires may have come into play. You see there, just catches a little bit of the curb, gets the car a little bit easy, and the very most graceful of nudges against that wall.
Yeah, that complex, Acqua Minerale it's called, is certainly difficult. The curbs are especially high at that point, and it's very easy to unsettle the car. They've come out of the Ravazzas, the 2 left-handers, to end the lap, and back onto the start-finish straight. Lap 1 already complete. Newhart still under attack from Nierhoff as they make their way down the straight and reaching top speeds of about 260 k's an hour before they get into the braking zone. Jacob Quayle, meanwhile, has managed to get by Morgan Smith, and Smith is a bit narrow on the way in. Malik Bass making its first start of the series here and already finding out the limits of Imola.
Yeah, Malik, definitely, he is very much in love with that Corvette race. He drives it, I think, 4 or 5 times a week. It's fair to say the guy is, he's got some time in the car, albeit probably not on the fixed setup. It's hard to say. I don't know what he usually runs in. I just know that he has a little bit of an addiction when it comes to that set of wings there and that V8 engine sitting right behind the driver's seat. But Morgan Smith falling back a little bit there at the start. Jacob Quayle able to get the better of him, and I think Dustin Nierhoff maybe making a little bit of a move as well. But I gotta admit, I think Dustin may be rocking a different paint scheme this week, Reese.
Yeah, it does look a bit different to what we're used to. Got pink donuts on the car on a chrome background. I've already had my coffee this morning. I probably should have gotten a donut on the way home as well. Well, regardless, cravings aside, it looks like he's about to gear up a potential move there. Good run out of Variante Alta, and the straight line stretch down to Rivazza is a place where you can make up a lot of time, but I'll make my point now. The green segments along the racetrack, along the curbs there, if they're light green, it means they're painted asphalt or concrete. And if they're dark green, then that's AstroTurf. Dark green, you want to stay off because there's no grip on that.
Yeah, certainly. It's one of those tracks you've really got to learn it. You've got to learn where the off-track limits are as well. But right now, Newhart definitely under some pressure there. And I think that's starting to slow him up. He's having to keep an eye on his mirrors and hold off the 126. Actually, it's a 125 versus the 126. I do wonder if these guys are teammates, actually, at this point. I know Dylan did bring a few friends along. I think Jacob Quayle may have been one of them. But I'm starting to wonder if Nierhoff is as well. Certainly, these 3 cars, 2 Corvettes and a Porsche, running very closely together. But he's got to be careful because Parker Dime has almost managed to get a second of the road. You can see the 2 Mustangs starting to get a little bit of a leg on.
Yeah, and very consistent pace between the WBM Mustangs as well. They both set 141.7s on the last lap. That's 0.2 faster than the next fastest car. And Nierhoff is all over the back of Dylan Newhart into Acqua Minerale. The Porsche is generally really good through the corners and great on traction. You see that out of the corners, but once they get to the straights, that's where the 911 starts to lose its oomph, so to speak. Can really ride the curbs nicely though, but see how much curb Nierhoff took there. That's a big advantage he just gained.
Yeah, he definitely took a lot more of that curb, and don't get me wrong, you gotta wonder, is that driving skill or is that sort of fear? You gotta wonder just how greedy you want to get with the curbs. He's almost into the back of Newhart there, and you see as well, Newhart able to stay tight behind that Mustang, but as the straight opens up, the time just starting to stretch out. It's about 0.7 tenths of a second. Well, it was about 7 tenths of a second going in, and you can really see another 3 tenths being added on as Nehu in that Corvette is looking to make a move as they head down into turn 1.
Yeah, does he poke the nose out? Does he stay behind? Looks like he's not able to get the move done. He's going to stay behind for the moment through Tamburello. But a wide exit from Newhart might make things a bit easier for him. Actually, it looks like Newhart has geared that up perfectly. He's managed to maximize the speed there. Here's Malik Bass, meanwhile, already up 1 position, looking to make it another here as Morgan Smith's Audi seems to be struggling a bit with the bumps.
Yeah, certainly that Audi, he's definitely said that, for lack of better words, it's been a little awkward. Maybe the acronym PITA could come into play, ladies and gentlemen, and if you don't know what that is, by all means Google it, but it's fair to say it's a challenging car. Now, Malik, we do know, drives that Corvette a lot, compulsively, and despite the fact he's a family man, I do often wonder if he spends more time with that Corvette than he does indeed with his own children, and I can't fault him for that. You know, kids are an acquired taste. They're not for everybody, but ladies and gentlemen, he's got some, and it's fair to say he's looking to try and get those kiddies up further through the grid.
Yeah, he certainly is. This is going to be a tough one for Morgan Smith.
Whoa.
So many curbs to use as my God, that was super close there for Dustin Neerhoof, nearly getting into the back and spinning Dylan Newhart around. You can tell that Newhart's being a lot more conservative with the curbs in that sort of top of the hill chicane there. So that's something that Neerhoof's going to have to think about. Yes, he might be able to get the run on Newhart in a lot of places, but he'll have to make sure that he's past Newhart before that point if he wants a clean run through.
Well, you got to wonder as well, is this an opportunity here for Newhart to get a little bit quicker? Can he start taking a bit more curve, or is he indeed just trying to reserve the car? As you see now, Morgan Smith under attack from his teammate, from his friend, Malik Bass. Is he going to be enough? As you see, the Corvette looks to go on the outside, thinks better of it, ducks back in behind it. So you got to wonder as well, is Malik, we've seen him do it before in other series, is he looking to try and just use Mo as a fuel-saving stopper?
Yeah, this could be something he's going for here, because over this 45-minute race, you will have to stop for fuel. If you can minimize the amount of time spent in the pits, then that's going to be a huge boon for your race. Giori falling back to 10th in the initial laps, but now that the tyres are up to temperature and up to pressure, it seems that he's started to get some of his mojo back there. He, Fozzie Fazillo and Luis Rios all there for 11th place, with Kyle Shelton another 17 seconds back from them. Or another 6 seconds, I believe, or 8 seconds. My timing can sort itself out, but it looks to me like Giori is starting to up the pace a bit here. He seems a bit more comfortable now, but it doesn't look like there's any sign of big moves just yet. They're still getting into the rhythm of the race.
Well, one thing I am noticing is indeed the sun is starting to go down here in Italy, ladies and gentlemen, and the lights are indeed coming on. It is a beautiful place to have a race into the sunset. Don't get me wrong, Fuji, we was there the other day. I did enjoy the scenery there, but I got to admit, Imola, it's still one of... I prefer it more as a track, but on the scenic side, I'm not too sure how it would compete with the Japanese venue we were at the other day. But certainly as a racetrack, it's absolutely fantastic. And certainly with the elevation change as well, are we going to see a few of these drivers struggling as the lights start to go out?
I'm going to burst your bubble a bit, Zippy. We're actually racing in morning conditions, so the sun is currently rising.
My bad. You see, the irony of it is Reese is currently where the sun is rising, and I'm currently where the sun has set.
Yeah.
And I still got it wrong.
True. Yeah, well, we've just gone past 9 a.m. in sim time, so yeah, this track does look beautiful in sort of half-light conditions, but the sun is going to be rising. The track might be warming up as we get things going for this race. Still more than half an hour remaining on the session clock. Back here with Rios and Giori and Fuzillo. They have lost touch with Cayman Lackney, who's about 4 seconds ahead of them at the moment. Lackney is in his own world at the moment. Same for Kyle Shelton and for the top two of Austin Diltz and Parker Dime. So were splitting off into a few battles for position. And it looks like they're going to continue for at least the next 10 minutes. It's usually around about 25 minutes to go or so that we start seeing drivers get into the pits.
Yeah, certainly. I've got to wonder as well, is it going to be a race of strategy? I'm almost wondering as well if we're seeing it more potently here, I guess you could say, ladies and gentlemen. If the cars are certainly, they're stronger in some sections than they are in others. Certainly, if I keep an eye on the timing screen, I can see them all according together, and then like half a lap later, they've all spread out. Like right now, the guys really bunched up together further in the pack, but you see there, Malik Bass right on that rear wing of the Audi of Morgan Smith.
Oh, yeah, and he's got a great slipstream at the moment. How defensive does Smith go here? No, Malik's not going for it. Okay. Part of that could be that, yeah, he really took the curb there, didn't he? I think part of that sort of not going for the move, yeah, fuel saving might be part of it, but also Tamburello is a difficult corner to pass in GT3. You got to negotiate the whole chicane. You have to think about the corners coming up. So if you go for the move there, then that is a big squeeze. There's been some aggressive moves into the hairpin. Kalman Giori doing the same thing that... Yeah, Malik Bass almost did the same thing to Morgan Smith there. And actually, Bass has just gotten past Smith. It looks like Morgan had a bad run out of Tosa and has let Bass by into P6. Doesn't look like it was anything sort of forced by an error or anything. Potentially, Smith took a bit too much curb out of one of the chicanes and had to serve a slowdown, but not too sure about that.
I do wonder if it's maybe a little bit of team strategy going on as well. Morgan might have said, you know what, Malik, you've got this. Let's go charging and try and catch up to Jacob Quayle, who's currently there in P5.
Yeah, Quayle has, well, he's showing up occasionally as being within a second of Nierhoff and Newhard. And these drivers are all sort of in a line at the moment, pretty evenly spaced and quite far apart, but all it takes is one missed braking point or one missed acceleration point as well, and all of that can change. See once again that Nierhoff is making up bulk time on Newhard at the end of the straight there, but through the rest of the circuit he doesn't seem to have much response.
Yeah, certainly. This is exactly what I was saying, Reese. Maybe the Corvette doing a little bit better on the straight. Let's try looking at some sectors here, see if I can make that pop up here. There you go. Let's try this out.
Yeah, okay. So in Sector 1, yeah, Nierhoff a little bit faster than Newhard. And the Sector 2 line just coming up there, losing out a little bit. But it's around this middle section of the circuit here and the run up through Variante Alta that we've seen Dylan Newhard lose some time. Oh, and it looks like Cayman Lackney's just had a problem. He's fallen behind Fazillo, Giori and Rios. He was running in 8th, but now he's fallen all the way to the back, even behind Kyle Shelton. There's been a big problem for that McLaren there. See that Nierhoff once again losing out a bit to Newhard in the middle sector there, but see how much more curb he takes at Variante Alta. That helps him gain some of that time back.
Yeah, we'll take a quick look at that replay in just a second there, Reese. I want to keep an eye on these sectors here, see if we can indeed confirm that there is a little bit of a difference there depending where they are on track. This last sector, I'm expecting that Corvette to absolutely demolish the Porsche, the 125. And then not only that, I don't think it's purely because of the car. I think a lot of it has to do with the draft as well.
Yeah, so looks like big gains in Sector 4 there for Dustin Nierhoff, and then another 0.03 of a second taken out there in the final sector of the circuit. So ultimately that brings it down to maybe half a tenth or so gained or thereabouts for Nierhoff on that lap, but you can tell that one part of the circuit Newhard's faster, the other part Nierhoff definitely quicker. Battle up the back here. Luis Rios, just by virtue of keeping it clean, has gained 2 spots thus far from Kyle Shelton and Cayman Lackney, and could be looking at another one here, as it seems Kalman Giori's had some trouble keeping up with Fazillo. That's what happened to Lackney. Just on the power a bit too hard coming out of Tosa. And the problem with I mean, it's not really a problem. It's more an aspect of these cars. GT3s, they have traction control and anti-lock brakes. Now, the traction control can help you sometimes, but you get a slide on too early, the traction control can kick in and exacerbate the slide if you're already in one. I think that might be what happened to Cayman there.
I've definitely always found that to be an issue, especially with the Porsches. Look who's starting to come to the party there, Reese. It looks like we have a new contender, or indeed a new camera car, and it's the number 9 of Jacob Quayle.
It certainly is. Jacob is starting to make tracks here as the move is on for Kalman Giori up the top of the hill. He's just gotten past Fazzillo, who spins. Oh, no. Oh, good avoidance there from Luis Rios, just sweeping by. It looks like both of those WBM McLarens having issues in this middle stage of the race. What happened to Fazzillo? Well, he took the grass coming into the Aqua Minerale section. That already put him on the back foot. And Kalman Giori said, okay, I'm going to take advantage of this. Problem for Fazzillo was his rear tires were still way overheated, and around he went.
Yeah, definitely a little
See
bit
how
unfortunate.
close it was there.
Oh, incredibly close. And I definitely feel for him. Definitely a little bit unfortunate they're getting a little bit too much runoff. But the good news is he will still have 2 cars to play with. He's got Kyle Shelton right behind him, and indeed Cayman Lackme looking to make a recovery drive. As we're going to return back further up the field, Jacob Quayle still starting to make a couple of gains there. He's getting even closer now to the back of Dustin Neerhoop, and it looks like Malik Bass looking to get in on the action as well.
Yeah, the Corvettes are really coming on strong in the middle of the race here, aren't they?
Well, absolutely.
Well, Parker Dime is solidly in second place, and Austin Diltz has just driven away from everybody. Diltz is the only driver who's been able to get into the 1:40 on lap time, and he's continuing to maintain that pace. It seems he is well in tune with Imola for the moment. Nierhoff, meanwhile, a little bit of a mistake there coming out of Variante Alta. First mistake I've seen from him in that section. Could we see a move from Malik Bass here at the Ravazzas? Pokes the nose out just a little bit, but it looks like he's content to stay behind for now, and it's turned into a trio of Corvettes here. Nierhoff, Quayle, and Bass, as Dylan Newhart is finally free of those clutches.
Lovely little wiggle there from the 58 of Morgan Smith as well. I reckon he was just twerking it at that point.
Yes, wiggle, 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 as,
Wiggle, yeah.
as some would say. Da, 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 da.
I'm going to put you back on camera if you keep doing that.
Jesus. Well, let's see who's the best of the Corvettes then, as we find our way down to Villeneuve. Difficult entry. You got to be braking and turning to set yourself up for the right-hander. It's very easy to mess up the short straight into Tosa, which is one of the best overtaking opportunities on the lap if you can get it right. They're all being very aggressive with the exit, running all the way over that AstroTurf, even catching a little bit of the grass. I'm surprised that we've only seen one car so far spin at that location, and for Lackney, he didn't even touch the AstroTurf there. So it seems that the Corvettes really like Imola at the moment.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be a really, really good car, and indeed a lot of fun around Imola. And indeed, it looks like Morgan Smith maybe was starting to catch up a little bit there as we have a look further back through the field. Now, if I remember rightly, is it Kyle Shelton or Luis Rios that Fozzie indeed likes to have a really good battle with? Because whoever it is, he's got one of the teammates right behind him right now, as they are indeed battling for the title of the top 10.
Yeah, Fazzillo recovered nicely from his dual mistake a few laps ago, and it looks like Kyle Shelton might stand a chance of getting by, but needs to have a few good sectors in order to do that. Aggressive over one curve, aggressive over the other. Hit those yellow and black sort of anti-cut curbs that you see at the apexes there, and you're on your way to a good run through that section. Preemptively defensive almost there from Fazzillo. But what's more important is the exit of Rivazza 2. It's difficult to judge the speed through here, but you can get on the power nice and early and set up a good run down the straight, and that's exactly what Kyle Shelton has done there. Don't pull out too early. You'll lose the benefit of the slipstream. There we go. He's going to draw alongside here on the run down to turn 1. The racing line helps him out there through the first turn, and then the first braking zone into Tamburello. The move is done for the Mustang, but can he hold on? Has to compromise his mid-corner there. A little bit too deep into the corner, and that could be a chance for Fazillo to get back past, but it seems that Shelton's done enough to keep him behind for now.
Yeah, definitely a good pass, a good clean pass at that. Fair play to him there. It looks like indeed Cayman Lackney is going to be looking to have a go as well. We're going to check back in with the trio of Corvettes. As I say that, Malik Bass currently at the back of that. I do see Dylan Newhart potentially trying to get away a little bit there. He's not quite managed to pull it off, but he's certainly putting in a good effort. 0.6 of a second ahead of the trio of Corvettes.
Yeah, still a bit slower than Dustin Neerhoof, but quicker than Jacob Quayle and Malik Bass, who I think are just content to follow in the slipstream for now. This quad battle that we're seeing will absolutely be defined by the pit stops. And speaking of pit stops, we're about to get to that point where we see drivers make their way into the pits. I wonder who the first to blink is going to be.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, if I was leading this pack, I think I would honestly be looking to duck in the pits and just stop giving these guys an advantage, going for the undercut, because if you're leading the pack, all you're doing is helping the opposition. You're not gaining anything out of it. You're just finding you've got more pressure, more distractions in that rearview mirror. As you see there, Dustin Neerhoof going right up to that rear wing of that Porsche.
Yeah, Neerhoof had a great run into Tamburello there, was able to carry so much speed to the apex, but loses out on the exit. I think the slow in, fast out philosophy of performance driving is demonstrated no more clearly than at that corner. You can compromise your way in. You might be a bit slow on the way into the chicane, but you can get on the power earlier. You can gear up the run down the straight, and that's not a good run down the straight for Jacob Quayle. Malik Bass going to draw alongside him, coming into Piratella. Oh, outside line through here doesn't always work, and it looks like Malik is going to have to wait for another move here. Surely not at Aqua Minerale. You can't make passes into there under normal circumstances, and very wisely backs out of it.
Challenge accepted, Reese.
Yep. All right, better you than me. This chicane is so brutal on the tires, on the suspension. It's very easy to make mistakes there, as we've seen. But all the Corvettes having a reasonable run through there. That little mini fight between Quayle and Bass has dropped them off the back of Neerhoof and Newhart. So I think now's about the time they should be thinking about a run into pit lane, but none of them are coming in there. Just looks to me like they're all content to stay out for now. I wonder if they're all going to be going long here on this stint.
Yeah, certainly nobody wants to carry any extra weight, Reece. Certainly, you know, everybody's constantly trying to shed weight. As you see there, that looked like a move fighting back there. A little bit of chicken from Malik Bass. Are we going to see a little bit of the razzle-dazzle? We've just seen it from Dustin Neerhoof as Cameron Gorey is our first contender down pit lane.
There we go. See one driver come in, and it's turned into a three-way fight here for Rios, Shelton, and Fazillo. It looks like Shelton's managed to make his way past Fozzie while we weren't looking. So, good run from him. That's very deep on the brakes. Makes contact with the Mustang on the way into the pit lane. Yeah, a little bit of a donk. And, yeah, it looks like Rios and Shelton will be working together to try and keep Fazillo behind them for now. Kalman Guri's pit stop is complete. He's making his way out of pit lane right now. 15.5 seconds in the box there for the number 71. So that's the benchmark that we're going to be measuring every other pit stop against. We'll see if that early-ish stop there for Giori will benefit him in the long run. He'll have some time in clear air, but clear air isn't as much of an advantage at Imola as at other tracks. I mean, the straights are just so long around here that you set your best times generally if you're in the slipstream of someone else.
Absolutely. Is again Fozzie getting in very, very close to the back bumper of that Mustang. No contact this time. You see Cayman Lackney lurking just 1.1 seconds behind. And you can see just how different these cars are. They are really, that McLaren, able to absolutely obliterate the Mustang in the braking zone. But on the straights, just having a hard time staying with it. This could be a good opportunity, though, for Fazillo. If he can stay in that draft, he could potentially save some fuel and pass the pair of them during the pit cycle.
Yeah, certainly good. He's definitely got the aggression under brakes sorted in that McLaren. Well, we shall see here Malik Bass making his way past Jacob Quayle. Looks like Jacob picked up a slowdown at the top of the hill there. Variante Alta, of course, very easy to cut as well.
Yeah, he was definitely keen, and indeed we've seen a little bit of spreading out now. Those two guys fighting has indeed dropped them back. Malik Bass about 1.5 seconds off the back of Neerhoof. Neerhoof has been, well, we've got DN and they've literally both been, both been realistically on nose to tail for this entire race. Newhard has not been getting a break there, as Cayman Lackney is showing in the pits. I don't see an incident. I'm not sure what's happened.
Looks like he's just come in for a stop, has he? Unless... Yeah, he just came in.
Just showing him in P1 for me. That's weird.
Oh, huh. Interesting. Looks like the timing was a little bit razzle-dazzled itself from the McLaren coming into the lane. Yeah, it looks like Fozzie Fazillo has passed Luis Rios. That's both of the Apex Optional Racing Mustangs going wide there, coming out of Villeneuve, and Fazillo took advantage of that beautifully, as it looks like our leader is the next car in the pit lane. Austin Diltz making his stop from the very front of the field, and doesn't look like he'll be under any pressure at all. Dustin Neerhoof takes to the pit lane, so does Jacob Quayle, so that splits the 4 cars that we were seeing battling for second place.
It definitely does, as it looks like the battle is indeed going to continue. I gotta say, I'm a little bit jealous of Fozzie. He's going to have a battle with 2 Mustangs, and looks like he's having a lot of fun doing it. Certainly, we've seen some good racing, we've seen some questionable racing, but they generally are quite evenly matched. And for me, that's been very, very enjoyable from the broadcast point of view. But can Fozzie fight back now as he brings it down pit lane?
Well, it looks like Kyle's going to follow him in, and it looks like Rios has decided the same. So it's going to be a battle of the pit crews between the McLaren and the 2 Mustangs here. Remember, we're looking at around 15 seconds or so for a pit stop. Neerhoof has the quickest stop so far at 15.1. But if you're unable to fully get on the ball, you're going to be seeing a pit stop of about 17.5 seconds or so. Quickest of them all there was Luis Rios. He does come out in front there as Giori gets by all of them and back into 8th place.
Yeah, he definitely got that planned out pretty good. He's absolutely slingshotted through the order. Shelton definitely lost out in that. He's 2.7 seconds back behind Fazillo. But let's see what's happening throughout the field here. It looks like Cayman Lackney now has ended up behind Luis Rios and has Fozzie Fazillo behind him as well.
It looks like it, as Parker Dime is the next driver to respond up the front there. And it looks like Dylan Newhart and Malik Bass will follow him in there. And finally Morgan Smith in as well. So the field is cleansed. Everyone has come into the pit lane.
Well, indeed, everyone. So that is going to put an end to the pit stops. But we're going to have to see how it's going to work out for them in the long run, as it looks like Cayman Lackney now. We've seen Fazillo going up against these Mustangs. It indeed is McLaren versus Ford, and we've had multiple contenders. It's a 2 versus 2 grudge match going here at Imola.
Love to see it. Cayman Lackney powering out of the Aqua Minerale complex, but getting a little bit of a slide on, it seems. And, well, we'll see how aggressive he is across these curbs. The McLaren doesn't seem to like Variante Alta too much. And, well, it seems the Mustang has a bit of a better time of it. Oi, 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 okay. So, Dustin Neerhoof, 1 lap undercut attempted on Dylan Newhart, and they've come out pretty much equal here. Newhart just coming out of the pits here. He needs to get those tires up to temperature. Neerhoof with the advantage of 1 extra lap of momentum on those tires. Malik Bass and Jacob Quayle sort themselves out in that order as well. So we're going to be seeing this battle go on for the next 16.5 minutes.
I gotta admit, this is turning out to be a really good race here. I gotta admit, the Corvette's almost having a trio. I feel sorry for Dylan at this point. He's outnumbered when it comes to car manufacturer, but right now, it doesn't matter. He's the only one sat on that podium step. Further back, Cayman Lackney now applying more pressure to the back of that Mustang. Luis Rios under attack from the mighty McLaren.
Oh, a bit too much of the speed bump there at the apex for Cayman Lackney. That hurt his momentum through the corner. You don't want to get unsettled at all through these turns. You have to keep it on those red and white curbs at the apex. Well, Kyle Shelton now still looking to make himself hashtag not last. Fozzie Fazillo keeping up with some good pace for the time being. Although we've seen that he is not mistake-free. Probably going to wait for that one. So Cayman Lackney, meanwhile, is continuing his pursuit here of Luis Rios. And the two of them are, at the moment, making their way up to the complex at the end of the lap. We can go split screen if we so desire and find them now making their way through.
Well, I am indeed going to try and find it, Reese. You keep talking, sir. I am going to do my very best.
Yes, indeed. Well, down the start-finish straight they come, and looks like Cayman Lackney is continuing his pursuit in the slipstream, and it seems that Shelton is pursuing the other McLaren of WBM in the field. Doesn't look like much of a fight to come out of Tamburello. But the fight up the front of this little pack here is absolutely going off. Oh, a little bit of gravel for Cayman Lackney, and he's trying up the inside of Tosa. It doesn't happen ultimately. Rios going to be staying ahead, but Lackney builds up the maneuver into Piratella. Here he comes, and he is through finally after a long time stuck behind that Mustang.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a battle there going on. We are going to try and do a bit of picture-in-picture action here. It's not playing the game, but it's not out of lack of effort, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a bonus feature we've been testing here on Pit Road Productions as we've got 3 battles going on. We're going to need a third screen, Reese, as we see Luis Rios going at it. Oh dear, that's one of the McLarens. I think that was Cayman Lackney. He's got a little bit short, and now he's under attack. But is he going to fight his teammate Fazillo coming up hot behind?
Oh dear, this is not ideal for Cayman Lackney. He would have served a slowdown as a result of that as well. So we'll have that continue on for a while here. 13 minutes remaining, 9 laps for these drivers. Battle of the WBM McLarens. Will there have to be a switch over here? I don't think they have the space to really do that, because Kyle Shelton is absolutely ranging up to these two, and now he has the triple slipstream.
Well, he is certainly giving it his best effort, ladies and gentlemen. Fair play to him. We are going to try and tweak this. It looks like the original one will not take it. Hang on. There we go. Boom. Reese, get rid of your doohickey. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Should have warned me, mate.
All right.
Well, let me at least get a TV cam up. And I'll go to a different fight as well. How about Jacob Quayle and Malik Bass?
Go for it.
These two look like they're going for it here into the Ravazza corners, and you see that Newhart and Neerhoof aren't too far ahead either. So there's still plenty to come here from Imola. Bit over 2 minutes remaining before we get to the 10 minutes to go mark in the slipstream. And have a look at the fight on your screen at the moment. Luis Rios now under a huge amount of pressure from Cayman Lackney and Fozzie Fazillo. Do any of them make a mistake here out of Variante Alta this time? They do not.
Yeah, definitely, it really is. It's come down to a huge, absolutely crazy race. Reese, if you can flick yours on a Newhart and Neerhoof, it looks like that's getting close as well. Certainly Dylan Newhart showing under 0.2 of a second as well. We do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. We got just too much going on. As you see right now, Cayman Lackney, he couldn't get any closer without being very inappropriate, ladies and gentlemen, for which I'm obviously very talented at being. Luis Rios very much under attack.
Oh, absolutely. Who wins the slipstream battle between these two? Luis Rios will be staring right at that McLaren in his rearview camera, and the nose sticks out for the number 13, gets up the inside at Tamburello, and Fozzie Fazzillo almost gets into the back of Luis Rios as a result. This battle between the Apex Optional and WBM teams has been fantastic. Shame it's for the last few positions running.
Yeah, but you know what? That doesn't take away from the battles. It's Fazzillo done it again. The Mustangs ran wide. Are we going to see a teammate switched out? Is it going to be tagged? You're it. It's Fazzillo now squeezed to the outside of the track. He's surrounded. They've got his arms against the wall. Are they going to mug him and take his lunch money as they make his way down to the left-hander?
Keeping the position for the moment there was Luis Rios, but he's gone very wide. He can still defend here into Aqua Minerale, but the McLaren is later on the brakes and asserts the position. The two McLarens now ahead of the two Mustangs.
I gotta admit, Reese, this is absolutely fantastic. We need to have a second stream going, another two commentators, if we're going to get action like this, ladies and gentlemen. And again, another reason why you should join this league. We'd love to see it keep going, but it needs your help, so definitely get involved. Elite Entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. If you're interested, comment in the chat. We'll give you a message. If not, leave a comment anywhere on one of our Elite Entertainment Pit Road Productions YouTube videos. We will find it and we will reply and get you hooked up if you want to be part of this fantastic race going on right now.
Yeah, indeed. Still a couple of rounds to go after this one, and there's always space for more. So make sure to get involved if you want to have a race with these guys. The battle seems to have calmed down between Dylan Newhart and Dustin Neerhoof for the moment, and it's gone down to about 0.5 of a second between Jacob Quayle and Malik Bass for the time being. So I don't know the keyboard shortcuts, my apologies. So you're going to have to see my heads-up display as I switch to those cars. But yeah, looks like that fight is at a bit of a stalemate at the moment between all of those guys fighting for the last position on the podium.
Yeah, that was definitely getting a little bit spicy. I tell you what, Reese, let's kill the double cam for just a minute there. I think these guys have given us enough to handle for just a moment. I've got to say, that was absolutely incredible action, and I've got an idea as well for your little camera controls. See if I can help you out with that, albeit you are indeed helping me on the production side a little bit there, as Jacob Quayle is who we're going to go and check out right now. Not personally, but check out that Corvette, as he does indeed have Malik Bass in the 191 right behind him.
Yep, so Malik here is still searching for a bit more time on Quayle, and actually he's lost out on that lap. Quayle was 0.2 faster over that lap, so doesn't look like there's going to be much of a change there. See how much gravel has been put onto the racetrack through Tamburello as well. It's certainly not ideal for grip. Imola, still an old school racetrack. Doesn't have much in the way of tarmac runoffs. It's got gravel lining it and grass all the way around. So you've got to be careful where you place your car. Malik having a good sector 1 there, it seems. So we'll keep ourselves focused here, as looks like we're going to be trying Dustin Neerhoof here on the feed there, as he continues to chase down Dylan Newhart for 3rd place. Last spot on the podium is always nice. You get yourself the points, you get yourself an interview here on Pit Road Productions as well. So Dustin Neerhoof will certainly be hoping for that one. I don't think Neerhoof's finished any higher than 4th since he joined the league, but he's been pretty consistent at finishing there.
Yeah, he's definitely got some pace, and that's no criticism on him by any means. The two band of brothers, Dilts and Dime, have really been inseparable at the top of that grid. Certainly the only person really who's been able to get in and give him a little bit of a run for their money has indeed been Dylan Newhart. I think if we put Rob Campbell in, I think he'd give him a run for their money as well. We're going to have to try and steal him at some point if we could. But look at this now. Malik Bass is right up on the tail of Jacob Quayle. Quayle under attack. It's Corvette versus Corvette, America versus America. I've got to report that Luis Rios has crashed, but we're going to leave that by at the side for the minute, as he's fallen 5 seconds back. We're going side by side. Malik Bass going to try and make a move on the outside of Quayle.
Yep, and he's forced Quayle to run a little wide in the second part of Tamburello. That's killed his speed down the straight. But there's going to be no opportunity to pass into Villeneuve. Has to set up the move further along. And they both avoid getting too crossed up. but it seems that once again, everything just comes to an equal pace between these two. It's so difficult to find a clear advantage.
Well, you can see here as well, those cameras, they look kind of similar. That's because we literally got two battles side by side, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it is.
Yeah, let me change that.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
That's okay. It wasn't a bad thing. I'm just saying that there's two battles going on in the same part of the track. And actually, it's both battles happening in this race right now. It's DN versus DN, Newhard versus Neerhoof, Dylan versus Dustin, ladies and gentlemen, in the battle for P3, the 125 versus the 126. I don't know how many other similarities we can get, but the car isn't one of them. The Porsche currently out there in P3.
Yeah, absolutely. The Porsche of Dylan Newhard has, I think, had the most third-place finishes of anyone this season. He's been the leader of the sort of best of the rest group behind the WBM Mustangs of Dilts and Dime. So we'll see if any of that changes here in the last 4 laps or so of this race. Dilt's still holding on to a very convincing lead. He's drawn it out to almost 10 seconds over Parker Diamond, still the only driver to set times consistently in the 1-minute 40s. No one else has been able to dip below 1-minute 41.
Yeah, certainly he's got incredible pace. For some reason, I've got, like, I don't know why, that song, I'm Gonna Let It Shine, like Dilts and Dime, is stuck in my head as we see side by side for the Corvettes. Is Malik going to be able to get it done this time? No, he isn't, but he's certainly applying the pressure there. Quayle getting a little bit of a sweat, and it looks like Malik is going to be able to do it on the outside now. He keeps trying on the outside. Generally, that doesn't pay off, but you know what? He's making the guy work for it. Corvette versus Corvette, and it's going to be a drag race as we see it in a little bit of a connection issue, and they're almost banging the wheels out, ladies and gentlemen, as they make their way down towards the left-hander.
Yeah, Piratella hard to run side by side through here, but they just managed to pull it off. The 191 of Malik Bass is just ahead of Jacob Quayle as they find their way down to Aqua Minerale, and the move is finally complete for Malik Bass. Brilliantly done.
I gotta admit, that was an absolutely fantastic series of events, ladies and gentlemen. So it looks like the battle has indeed quietened down a little bit there. DN versus DN. The gap has indeed opened to about 0.8 of a second. We're going to leave that on the sideline for the minute, but I gotta say, fantastic action, and a huge thank you to my comrade in the booth, Mr. Reese Gardner, as we're going to keep on board with this Corvette. We've just seen Malik able to get the move done, but can he keep it there? They've got about another 3.5, 4 minutes left in this race. Who is going to emerge victorious? Who is going to take that P5? Malik Bass currently up 3 positions from where he started.
Yeah, most positions gained in the field for the moment. So Malik may not have been the best on qualifying, but he's certainly shown that he can do the distance in the race. So here they come down to Tamburello once more. Super deep on the brakes is Jacob Quayle. He knows that he can get back past Malik if he so desires, but he's going to have a couple of things go his way to get that done.
Yeah, he's definitely applying the pressure. Look how much earlier he was on the brakes there, but I have a feeling that's very much a strategy thing there. Certainly, if you run a bit too deep, it can basically just ricochet and cascade over and give you such a poor exit, but it doesn't look like it's really costing much. He's been able to stay on the back of that wing, that Corvette, and he's certainly only about 0.4 of a second behind him.
Morgan Smith, meanwhile, coming into the pit lane for a black flag. Looks like the incident limit is starting to come into effect for these drivers. Imola, of course, being a track where it's very easy to get off tracks and it's easy to rack up those incident points. We've already seen Luis Rios come into the pits a second time, and it looks like that was for the same reason, just a straight up drive-through. So you mentioned that you heard or saw that Rios had crashed, and well, that's what happened there. Just a little bit too much rear brake into Aqua Minerale, and I think that tipped him over the incident limit with that spin, and Morgan Smith suffering something similar there. So is there anyone else who's marginal on that incident limit here in the last couple of laps?
Well, certainly they do say in a race car that you should never come back with any materials left over. And the same goes for incident points. If we start getting to the higher levels of competition, which honestly, some of these drivers, they are pushing that hard, ladies and gentlemen. If they've got 16 incidents, they're going to use all 15 of them and basically exploit it for everything they can. That's what you have to do. It's the same as any racing, ladies and gentlemen. You can't break the rules, but you can certainly flirt with them to the point of they're ready to take you home. You just can't enjoy the dessert, ladies and gentlemen, as Jacob Quayle is very much almost doing that now with Malik Bass. base. You can see him just ahead, and it looks like Nearhoop has managed to catch back up to Dylan Newhart once again. But can he get it done? Right now, Newhart has had the leg up over him for most of this race, but not quite been able to make the position gain onto the podium as Dustin Nearhoop.
Yeah, 0.2 faster than Newhart on the last lap, but considering that we're only going to have one lap to go when they cross the line next, I don't think there's going to be much chance of Nearhoop getting that done unless there's a mistake from Newhart, and that can happen, especially in this section of the circuit. You missed the braking point by even a little bit into Variante Alta, and, well, I guess that happens. Luis Rios has now lost his rear wing from that incident. Oh. Well, he actually lost it earlier, so I think that explains what happened there. The car was very aerodynamically unstable. Oh, no. Rios spinning too much curb at Aqua Minerale, and then the rear of the car was unstable with no downforce on the back. That just made things worse at the chicane, and, well, he's going to try and get it to the finish at the very least. He is going to be lapped, unfortunately, by our leaders first, and potentially by Newhart and Nearhoop as the final lap begins.
Yeah, this could end very, very badly. He's got an unstable car. He's got that Mustang. I don't know why he's trying to limp it at this point, because honestly, he's about 43 seconds back behind Kyle Shelton. The two Mustangs, sadly, have indeed fallen, but it looks like we've got a WM battle going on as well. It's Lackney, Fazillo, and Morgan Smith. You know what? I don't know if it's a battle, maybe more of a photo opportunity here. Are we going to see Morgan Smith make his way past Fazillo and go for that all-star photo op? Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, no. Luis Rios having further problems there, just letting drivers go. Yeah, no rear wing on the Mustang means that it's very difficult to keep it stable, and I think he's just decided, to let them go there. So not much more to say about that. For Austin Diltz, though, he's approaching the final couple of corners as his teammates fight amongst themselves for the last few positions in the top 10. Morgan Smith getting right into the back of Fozzie Fazillo there, not going to make the move, but out of the final turn comes Austin Diltz to take absolutely commanding victory by just about 10 seconds on Parker Dime. And the battle for third is still not over. Is there any move to be had here for Dustin Nearhoop? He had a look, but he's not close enough for the move on Dylan Newhart. And so the Porsche with Kevin Hart emblazoned across it will take the final spot on the podium.
I gotta admit, he worked hard for that, and you could just see the Porsche able to accelerate so quickly out of that corner. Further back, it looks like Malik Bass was able to hold off Jacob Quayle, but we're going to go back again as we got the WBM trio, ladies and gentlemen. McLaren, Audi. Are we going to see a late move here from Morgan Smith? He's getting right up close. Actually, Fazillo's getting up close as well. A little bit of a tank slapper, and Morgan's got it across. Cayman Lackney's died in the off chance. What happened there? That was a whole lot of WBM and a whole lot of upset from the number 13.
Yeah, so Lackney had a bad run through. Oh, God, it's contact between Fazillo and Smith as well. Bit of a messy end of the race here.
We gotta do this again. There's too much happening right now.
Yeah, so a deep run from Fozzie Fazillo, turning Cayman Lackney around on the exit of the chicane there. And so Morgan Smith gets 2 positions for 1 there. And Fazillo continued on as was. Yeah. Looks like just a little coming together there. Fazillo, meanwhile, it actually looks like with this incident right here, too deep on the brakes, gives Morgan Smith the old boot on the back. Fazillo has been given a post-race drive-through penalty from the automated stewarding system. So he has fallen outside the top 10 as a result. Smith, though, getting into 8th place. So those are your results then. Austin Diltz and Parker Dime bring home the 1-2 for WBM in the Mustangs once again. Dylan Newhart defending from Dustin Nearhoop the entire race to finish in 3rd, with Morgan Smith ultimately getting No, Smith did not get P5 there. That looks like that's still the qualifying results there.
You're right, it is.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
Malik Bass getting P5 ahead of Jacob Quayle. Good position gains from him. Kalman Giori getting P7 ahead of Morgan Smith. And then Cayman Lackney, Kyle Shelton, Fozzie Fazillo, and Luis Rios. Rounding out your field there, Rios finishing a lap down, but everyone who started the race finished it. So that is something positive to take away from that. Well, time for driver interviews, and the first driver we can bring in is the number 14 of Austin Dilts. It looked like a pretty calm race for you up the front there, Austin, starting from pole, leading every lap, winning by 10 seconds, but I'm sure you had some fun.
Yeah, Imola is always amazing. It's one of those flow state tracks, so I just kind of locked in and didn't look back, but yeah, it was kind of boring.
Yeah, well, it's certainly good to see that the WBM Mustangs are still as fast as they always have been around this circuit. What are the things that you need to look out for around a track like this?
Definitely the high-speed braking zones going into some of the corners where you have to, pitch the car in and try to get it really sticking, because the elevation change sometimes just absolutely makes the car go wild.
Yeah, certainly does. Well, we go to another difficult circuit, one that I don't think everyone will be too familiar with. Rudskogen is host to the second last round of the season. What are you expecting from that?
It's going to be exciting. Like you said, I don't think a lot of people have experience there, so I think that it can lead to maybe a shakeup of the field. I've done some F4 races there, so I know that it's a really fun track with the crazy elevation changes there. So it's going to be interesting to see who can hold it together.
Certainly. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go, Austin?
Yeah, thank you guys. Putting on a great broadcast always. Thank my team. Thank my wife for letting me do this, my baby, and my dad for watching.
Well, hello to Dilts Senior. Austin Dilts there, taking victory here at Imola. And next up on the roster, Zippy, you've caught up with Parker Dime, who came into this round as the championship leader and maintains it.
I got to say, Parker, absolutely fantastic drive. Both yourself and Austin, honestly, just absolutely walking it in those Mustangs. How was Imola for you?
I mean, it was good, but what the hell was that? Like, was Austin in an LMP2 car?
Well,
He
certainly,
took off,
I mean,
and I never saw him again.
maybe he's just wanted to socialize, like socially distance himself from you. I mean, I don't know why, like Dilts and Dime, you two, you become the band of brothers almost. And certainly, when you watch the broadcast back, forgive me, by all means, we'll just leave it at that. I had a little bit of fun while Reese was interviewing, and certainly it looks like you had a lot of fun here at Imola, but I got to admit, it's definitely been an interesting battle so far. Imola, definitely one of the Princess-approved tracks, but how do you feel about where we're heading to next week?
Well, I don't think many people have done a GT3 race at Rudskogen, so I think it'll, be a pretty level playing field. So I'm excited to see what happens there. I'm happy that I have a second place to drop just in case things do go wrong there, because I love Sebring, and I know a lot of people do. So I think that'll be an exciting last two races of the season.
Absolutely, and I gotta say, you've been absolutely driving the wheels off that Mustang. I think, if anything, we need to maybe put a little bit of ballast in that car, maybe attach a stroller or something behind it, or indeed in front of it. I don't think you'd want to run over a child, but certainly with pace like that, I think you'd still be pretty potent on the grid. But Parker, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, as always, my wife, my parents, friends and family, and you guys for the good broadcast. Always excited to watch it, and I appreciate it, guys.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, and indeed a very potent force, one half of Dilts and Dime. It's Mr. Parker Dime driving that number 57 Ford Mustang. A huge congratulations to him on yet another podium here in the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series.
Indeed, and we'll let him go and grab Dylan Newhart for our final podium interview. Looks like Kevin Hart was smiling on you today, Newhart. You were able to keep Dustin behind you the whole way, but he gave you one heck of a race.
Yeah, well, good thing Dustin, I've driven with Dustin for we're coming up on 2 years now, so he was nice enough to stay behind and let me stay in the championship fight again, or not the championship fight, but the P2 fight against Austin, so big shout out to him there. That was very kind of him.
Yeah, we've got to start thinking about that P2 fight as well, because Dilts has been on an absolute tear these last few rounds. What do you think you'll be able to do to fight up against him?
You know, that's a great question because he just told me he's really fast around Sebring, and I really don't like Sebring, so it's probably all going to come down in Rudskogen, to be fair. I'll probably have to end up winning there next week, but luckily it's a kind of even playing field because no one's really raced GT3s around there, so.
Yeah, Rudskogen's going to be a very interesting one because, yeah, like you say, there's a familiarity aspect to it as well, but also I think it's a good track for the Porsche because there's a lot of turns, a lot of medium to low speed turns, and plenty of elevation change as well. The straights aren't really that long, so you'll probably have a great opportunity there.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a Porsches, it's going to be my one opportunity to win one this year where the Mustangs aren't going to be absurdly faster than the Porsche, so it'll be a good opportunity. I'll put a bunch of laps in this weekend. We'll give it a go for sure. I can't end the season with 0 wins.
Absolutely. Well, wishing you the best of luck for next week. I think I won't be calling the race next week. I'll actually be sharing the track with you, so I'll try not to be too much of a menace. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go, Dylan?
I want to thank you guys. You guys always put on great broadcasts. It's great to go watch back. And then, unfortunately, Drew and Adam weren't here this week, but shout out to them for helping put this on. It's great fun, and I always look forward to it every week.
Yeah, absolutely. We do as well here on Pit Road Productions. And Zippy, I understand you have a request for Dylan's paint next week.
Well, Dylan, certainly, I'm just trying to think, what would be the best way for you to beat me or distract me on track? And let's ignore the whole talent aspect because we know you've got me beat on that one. But myself, I've said it 100 times. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll probably say it 1,000 more. I think Sofia Vergara does indeed need to go on that Porsche because I don't think any sane man alive could possibly concentrate on driving a racing line if she was certainly plastered all over your car. Definitely a distraction, and certainly one that I'm going to be hoping for next week.
I'll try and make that happen for you, Zippy. It's definitely not the first time you've mentioned that to me, for sure.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
It will be clean,
suggestive, but not, leave something to the imagination.
Yeah. It'll be interpretive.
There you go. There you go. Well, we know I'm going to be here next week, ladies and gentlemen. That's Dylan Newhart taken care of. And indeed, I guess we should probably wrap it up. I did actually ask Morgan if he could send over Fozzie Pazzillo or indeed Cayman Lackney. Honestly, they was in such a fantastic battle. It would be good to speak to them. But it doesn't look like they've managed to roll in, and we have indeed hit that magical time, ladies and gentlemen. If anything, we've gone a little bit over. So, Reese, I guess it's time to do the honors, sir. Take it away.
Yep, time to go here on Pit Road Productions. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in, and if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for clicking on the thumbnail. I'm Reese Gardner, Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside in the comms box and producing behind the scenes. A big thanks to Elite Entertainment and WBM Racing for helping to bring this action to you today. We'll see you next week at Rudskogen.